We're live. Hey, good morning, Facebook. I am so excited to bring to you this morning this wonderful, wonderful mother and daughter duo,
Hey.
Blythe Daniel and Helen McIntosh. Welcome, ladies.
Thank
Thank
you. We're
you
so
so
excited to be
much.
with you this morning.
Well, I'm excited to be with you. Blythe and Helen are no strangers to how excited I am about the new book that's going to be released on April 4th, right, ladies?
It's April 9th. That's right. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Mended. And it's really about, it's a lot about their story of how God has restored their hearts and really guided their relationship as a mother and daughter. And the reason why it has so spoken to me and I'm so excited about it is because this is a story that is true in my life. Growing up, I didn't have a good relationship with my mother. And by the grace of Jesus, when I came to the Lord, and then when later she came to the Lord has done an amazing miracle of restoration in our lives. And of course, as it always is, it's very common. God puts in your lives people who have dealt with the same or are dealing with the same issue that you have gone through so that you can minister to them. And I have had several people in my life that struggle with their mother and daughter relationship. So that's why this book is so relevant to me personally. So I wanted to interview her and them both for my column for the Atlanta Journal Constitution, which is going to come on Mother's Day weekend. But I thought I'd just post this awesome interview right here. So we're going to start right with some awesome questions and discussions, ladies. Please comment right here. There's a space to comment. You can, hello, I'm saying hello from Alabama. We already have some ladies from Alabama and other ladies. Please just jump in and make comments. And Blythe and Helen can address your questions if you have questions after the broadcast is over, because these comments will be live right here on my page, and they can answer any questions you may have. Okay. So first of all, I love this. I read this. I think it was Helen that said that one of the points that you are going to address in this book is to confront past hurts with humility and grace. And I believe that that point speaks of forgiveness. So, can you tell me a testimony, either of you, that you can share with us on how you made that possible as a daughter?
You know, my mother never really chose to ask my forgiveness, but I chose to forgive her. Chemotherapy has altered my voice a little bit, so thank you for your patience. But because of my relationship with God, I'm able to forgive her. But I have wanted to instruct others. And here's what you would say is, God has shown me how I have hurt you, and I am sorry. Will you forgive me? And that releases you of all that you might have done, even if it was only 2%.
Wow, and I think that this is one of the points that you actually address in the book, right, Helen? Like,
Yes.
What if your mom has already passed? How do you address that hurt, right?
Right. You ask God for release,
Mm-hmm.
and it's done.
Yeah, and I know that this is not uncommon, that people say, like, how can I really fix this relationship if your mom or your daughter is gone? So I love that you actually tackle that in the book.
Mm-hmm. One of the things too that Mom has encouraged people to do is to write a letter to a loved one, and it might not be a letter that you ever send. It might be just for your own heart that you write a letter expressing how you choose to forgive them. It might be a letter that you send or an email that you send nowadays, email or a part of a text that you send. but it is sometimes helpful to process it by writing it out. And so that's another thing that Mom has encouraged people to do, is to be able to write out something that expresses how you are feeling and the words that you would say, even if you don't get to physically share those words with a loved one, a mother or a daughter. It's so important to be able to write those thoughts out.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can do that whether they are gone or whether they are alive and there's no communication, because some people just are not open, right, for that reconciliation. That's the truth. I have found out that a lot of these relationships, one of the sides, they just don't want to talk about it. They just prefer to not address it, right?
Or they don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Now, how has this mending process that you have been through allowed you to become closer to God, and even the process of writing this book together?
What would you say, Blythe?
I think that it's allowed us to become closer to God because we've gone to God when we've had difficulties in our relationship first, to get his perspective on our life and our relationship. You know, it's a good filter to go to God first and share your thoughts with him and ask him for his thoughts, because a lot of times we can speak so quickly to each other that something comes out of our mouth before we realize that we've just said something we wish we could take back. So going to God first and just saying, God, this is how I feel. What do I need to do in this situation? Or what words do you have for me to share with my mom or daughter? And he, as Mom has said, he longs to give us those answers. He longs to give us those things. But I think it's been helpful for us to realize that we are mended as mother and daughter, and we invite others into that process. But no matter what type of relationship you're in, how difficult it might be, you can always, always be mended to God and restored to God, even if you've been apart from him or even if you've had a close relationship with him. There's still further healing that can happen. And we just want to encourage women to press in to their relationship with God.
Yes, well said.
Wonderful. I think about that three, I guess you'd say three thread cord, right? Because like when you have a wedding ceremony, you have the three candles that you light. And I always think about like my marriage. The reason why my husband and I are so close and best friends is because he seeks the Lord and I seek the Lord, and he is what makes us whole, right, as a couple. And it's this, it is true for every relationship, right? If you have Jesus Christ being that third binding, that keeps us together. It's all about staying close to the Lord, because he will point the things that in you that needs to be changed. He will also convict others as well. So this is a wonderful thing. And I have a very interesting question. What was the biggest challenge for you to write in writing this book?
I think one of the challenges that we had was just knowing how much to include in the book from our personal lives and really the things that would most resonate with readers, because there's a lot that can be said about relationships, and especially between mothers and daughters. And so we really wanted to come across as someone who's in this with you as readers. We haven't done this perfectly, and so I think we're just maintaining a balance of sharing from wisdom that we've gained and sharing real stories. But as Mom and I've said, we really did not have the challenge of disagreements or, you can't use that story, or, like, we were so blessed. And I don't know.
Not one argument.
That's right. We didn't know what to expect, but I really do believe that God was guiding us and giving us what we needed, even though we weren't sure exactly how it would all come together. But Mom was very diligent and had mapped out a lot of things ahead of time before we started writing. So I would just say that our challenge was just to make sure that we were including what was most relevant and what would be most helpful for the reader.
That's awesome. All right. And what are some, like if you have a situation where a mother and daughter are stranded and, they're not talking, what are some of the ways that you, in the book, you actually, some ideas that you give to start mending that relationship?
Well, this was on my heart. We long to help people start the dialogue. And so we have maybe several dozen sentences in the book to help people start. And one of the samples would be, what do you need to see from me or hear from me
Oh, wow.
just to make things better? What's your favorite?
I think one of the things that that I like that we've been able to try to invite the conversation by just acknowledging that there's distance between you, or that there's a problem, and that you might want to say is, what I want is a good relationship, and you are more important to me than this problem or this difference that we have between us. So just acknowledging what you both want, I think, is helpful. And sometimes we don't know exactly what we want. And so just acknowledging, starting to say, I want to be healthy. I want to have a good relationship.
And that you mean more to me than being right.
That's right.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You mean more to me than being right. Wow. If we just could grasp that in every relationship, not just a mother and daughter relationship, right? But every important relationship in our lives, it's more important. This friendship is more important to me than being right. This marriage is more important to me than being right. So it really extends to much more than a mother and daughter relationship, doesn't it?
We hope so.
And I'll let Mom share, but one of the things that she has done so well is inviting herself in to not feel like she's giving advice. So what is the sentence that you use a lot of times?
May I share a concern, or may I share an idea? And this is not a suggestion, it's just an idea. And then what would you?
Yeah, are you okay if I share some feedback? And that just opens up, instead of it sounding like, well, you should do this and you should consider that. It's not a control. So it's more of a, I'd like to be able to share something, but if you're not okay with that, then I don't want to, because again, the relationship is more important than you being a good advice giver.
I love that. And we are talking now we are talking about, here you have a mother and daughter whose daughter is an adult, but I have teenagers, right? And I believe that applies to our relationships with our children, even when they are younger as well, right? It really does.
Lecturing breaks a relationship.
Wow. I love that. I never thought about that, because I am a lecturer to my kids a lot of times. But I love that. I'm going to definitely take that into consideration.
The message you give when you're lecturing is, you might as well say, you are so stupid.
Or you aren't doing things right. So,
yeah.
Yes, I love that. So, I love the fact that you're giving literal like sentences that people can use to start that mending process, or ideas, prompts that you have in the book. It's such a practical book. I'm all about practical books, because a lot of books they will explain a lot of the situations and give a lot of biblical feedback or information, and then what about, how do I do this, right? It seems like mended answers a lot of like, how do I do that type of questions, right?
We hope so.
Yes. I mean, we want it to be a tool that women, whether you're a mother or a daughter, we all have a mother. So we've all know what it's like to be raised. And sometimes those are good relationships, and sometimes they're very difficult. And like you were saying, Patricia, I'm a mom of 2 young daughters that are preteen, and I want to have a good relationship with them. And so we want it to be a hands-on book that no matter where you are in the journey of being a mother or a daughter, that it can be something that you do with the next generation. In fact, we do have a section where we talk about setting different patterns from previous generations. So in Mom's case, with her mom and what she went through as a daughter, being raised by a mom who had some addictions and anger, Mom knew that she needed to set things differently for raising my brother and I. And so sometimes you're going to find yourself in a generational pattern where there's been some difficult things between mothers and daughters. And so we give tips on how to break those patterns and start a new generation with your family.
I love that. I come from a situation like that with me personally, but also my mom. And that has actually, the Lord really opened my heart to forgiveness and understanding when I realized where my mom came from as well, and why she behaved in a lot of ways the way that she did with me. But with that point, that's actually a question that I have for you, because you say this, Helen, in the book: whatever you focus on, you run the risk of repeating. It's
Right.
very, very true. Now, what about the flip side of this issue? For example, I had a very strict mom who did not show a lot of affection when I was growing up. And I find it hard to me not to go like the complete other way and become lenient sometimes. Sometimes I praise my daughter for every little thing, my daughters for every little thing they do, which makes me a little concerned on like, are you going to be, just uh, praise praise hungry, all the time, which we don't want to raise children who are like praise hungry. Unless they are praised all the time, they don't feel valued. So how do you balance that?
Thank you for your honesty. And I think staying honest with your children is a real help. And going to them and saying, you know, I, I meant to do this, but I did this. And would you help me to do this instead? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think Mom talks about overlove, that there's an unhealthy overlove that some parents can have for their child, of wanting to do things for them and show them a lot of affection and attention. And sometimes that can lead to enmeshment, which is really joining yourself too closely. But then there's that distance that can happen, just from natural relationships. So a good balance. And I think sometimes you have to ask each other, are we in a good place? Or do you feel like I'm loving you too much, or am I not loving you enough?
Right. Can you tell about when you went off to school?
So when I did go off to college, my mom made a statement to me that said, I don't want to be controlling. And if you ever sense that my tentacles are too long or I'm over loving, please say something. So it was a very honest approach of, if you feel smothered, if you feel controlled, please say something, because she doesn't want to be that way. Yeah.
So staying honest.
Yes, I love that. This it reminded me of something when there was a time in my life when my girls were little that I was going through a lot. There were like 2-3 years that I had a lot of stress in my life with cancer, different things that were going on. And I found myself having a real hard time sometimes having patience with them, right? And so sometimes I would just, not lose it, with them. And one of the things that the Lord showed me one day, which I had never had that from my mom, right, was the literal stop and ask for forgiveness after the fact, and realize, which is so hard, right?
It is hard.
So hard. Like say that they did something wrong. They indeed did something wrong, and they should have known better. But you just lose it, and you just start say more than you should, and do not behave Christ-like yet at all. And then you have to come and say, listen, what you did was not right, but I should not have come by the way that I did, and talk the way that I did. Forgive me. What do you tell to the moms that have a hard time doing that? Should they do? Tell me.
you can start over. You have an honest conversation with your children and ask their forgiveness and just start over.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able, like you said, to just acknowledge that I was wrong. One of the statements that my mom taught us when we were little, my brother and I, was, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And we have this written out in the book. Or you can say, I have offended you by, or I've hurt you by fill in the blank, whatever that blank is. And I'm sorry, will you forgive me? So sometimes acknowledging what you've done is really helpful for you and for a loved one to hear.
Yes, and I think treating our kids as they understand, right? They have a brain. They are smart
Right.
children. They understand. We don't have to treat them like they can't understand what we're trying to say. And I have had a lot of instances with my children where, a little older, of course, where I sat down and say, "Listen, I struggle with this. So I need you to help me because I struggle with this. When you do this, it just crawls all over me." And and it's amazing when you come from the perspective of like, I am flawed and I need you to help me with my weaknesses, right? It just opens really a grounds for a lot of conversations and understanding from the children.
You're modeling for them.
Exactly.
I hated having to ask their forgiveness so often, but then I realized that the Lord was using me to model how they should behave.
Yes.
Whatever.
That's exactly right, because you realize that as they get older, they start coming to you and asking for forgiveness when they fail.
Right.
Yes.
Because they've seen that in you. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Well, your release day is just around the corner. Yay. Tell us about the release day. What's planned for that day? If anybody wants to come or
Yes.
what happen?
We're doing a launch book signing party at Grace Store in Dalton, Georgia. And we are going to be signing books and praying and sharing stories. And we're really excited. So that's going to be on April the 9th from 4 to 7 p.m. And that's in Dalton, Georgia at the Grace Store, 111 West Gordon Street. And yeah, so we're going to be probably doing some things on Facebook as well. We just are celebrating what God has done in our relationship and our ability to write this book. We wrote it while my mom was going through chemotherapy and rehabilitation from that. And so there's a chapter that we added called Do Hard Things Together. And that's a chapter that we've lived and continue to live through our journey as mothers and daughters in even hard circumstances. So the book can be purchased through different retailers. We do have a list of those retailers on our website, which is our OURmendedhearts.com. So OURmendedhearts.com. And we have some freebies on there too. If people would like to get those questions that we referred to, we have a downloadable PDF that you can get some of those conversation starters. There's 7 conversation starters for you.
I have it right here.
Great. Yeah, so we'd love for you to
my book.
That's right, the book. We have endorsements on there, and that's right. There you go.
Conversation starters. Mended. So good. And I actually got these beautiful earrings too.
That's right. The earrings that we've been trying to have a conversation piece of earrings, and this idea of they're different. I have on mine today that are different, each one. Because our relationships with each other are different, but God is able to mend, and that's what this book is really all about. And what our heart is to help women see the possibilities for restoration with their mothers and daughters, their mother and daughter, and we just are grateful for the opportunity to share with your audience today. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. What a wonderful thing. Let me tell you, I am so happy to have you, and it's been wonderful to interview you here. And my prayer is that this book will impact many, many, many women who struggle, or simply women. It's not necessarily a book for women who are struggling with their mother-daughter relationship. You may have a wonderful relationship with your mom and with your children. Believe that it can always be improved. And the Lord, we are all work in process, right? The Lord is always working in us.
That's
So it may be that you need this book so that you can guide some people in your life who you
Yes.
know who are struggling. So you may buy
Right.
the book as a gift to a mother or a daughter who needs guidance, a new mom who's just had a little girl, and is a new mom in your life that you want to gift them with something special instead of another onesie. Give them Mended. It's a wonderful gift for any mother who wants to be everything that God has called us to be as mothers and daughters in the kingdom. We need to be women
Yes.
who make a difference in the kingdom of God. When people
Yes.
look at our relationships with our daughters or with our mothers, they also see the reflection of Jesus Christ in it. And
Yes.
in a world where so many children are living in broken homes, in homes where the mothers are absent, emotionally absent even from their lives, and we know that's causing in our society. I believe that mother and daughter, or mother and son relationships are the backbone of our society, and that is why this book, I believe, is a timely gift to the kingdom of God. And I'm so excited to have interviewed my friend Blythe and her beautiful mom. Listen, Helen, may God bless you with
Thank
complete
you.
healing and strength. I
Thank
know that you're
you.
still mending, right? From
I'm
your
still mending.
Well, so I invite all people who listen to this, watch this interview, to be praying also for Helen and for healing and for strength and for Blythe as they embark on this new journey with Mended. Such
Thank
a blessing
Thank
to have you,
you.
ladies.
Patricia. You are so special. Oh,
Thank you.
Thank
And
you so much.
I'm looking forward to writing. And so, ladies, later on Mother's Day weekend, my column for the Atlanta Journal Constitution on the faith and values column of that newspaper will be about mending the mother and daughter relationship. And it's going to be about this interview and what this book is about. I'm so excited about it. May God bless you. Do y'all want to say anything else for our audience?
Just
thank you.
thank you. We're so thrilled to have this opportunity to spend time talking about Mended and just looking at things that we feel are so important for the mother-daughter relationship. So thank you for providing it for us.
Of course, Blythe, of course, Ellen. And I'm going to try to be in Dalton. I'm not that far away on the road. I'm going to bring my book. I want signature.
Awesome. We would love to have you.
And we'd love to.
Hey, ladies, go to Amazon.
And anybody else that would love to.
Yes,
Thank
anybody
you.
else. But today, go to Amazon. Let's buy pre-purchase this book and bring it up on #1 on Amazon on its category. Come on, Mended. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye, Helen. Bless you.
Bye.
Patricia.